The idea of the Ivory Prize really came in 2017 as I was surveying the market and really thinking about where things were going and what was going to be the big next crisis or opportunity or challenge. It made me think back to 2006 when we were one of the early identifiers of what was a housing market that was oversupplied. In 2017, we had a housing market that was undersupplied, and it seemed to be developing into a crisis. It's a big problem because not only do we have this gap, but there's some other fundamental things going on in the economy that's very challenging for housing. You see incomes rising, but the price of housing rising much quicker. In the past, these have been problems that have been most acute in the coastal areas, and now it's hitting cities all over America. And so the question was, what are we going to do about it? The Ivory Prize is about innovation. It's about coming up with solutions. So I'm excited because we've been very encouraged in seeing 126 nominees, and there's a lot of really great ideas. Our hope in the end is that we can have an impact on helping housing affordability in our country, but also bring some of the best ideas back to our own state and to our own company, learn from those, and try to develop solutions here that will help people achieve that goal of homeownership. We've just got to do things, and focusing on the entrepreneurs, the innovators, and learning from them can teach us all a lot. And sharing those ideas is what the Ivory Prize is all about.
The Austin Community Design and Development Center is a nonprofit organization that believes that the design of our everyday environment should take into account the needs, the voices, and the local leadership of the communities. And so through the work that we do in research, in community planning, in policy, in design, we make sure that we're building neighborhoods that are healthy and that are equitable.
So our city, like a lot of growing cities, has a lot of single-family neighborhoods really close to the downtown core. So the Alley Flat Initiative was really created as a way to put more units on the ground while still respecting that neighborhood culture that everybody here really treasures. So an alley flat is just a detached single-family house that's just built in the backyard of a single-family property. And through our program, that back house is occupied by a low-income renter, and they're paying rent just like anybody else, and that rent helps that front property owner gain a little bit of extra income to be able to accommodate extra living costs, but we're also providing an extra affordable rental unit in a single-family neighborhood.
So we had a double-car garage, and I think the previous owners had added a workshop onto the back of it. I think he repaired bicycles or something like that. So it's a double-car garage plus, and we use the same footprint to convert it into a one-bedroom, one-bath apartment. And I love the idea of increasing affordable housing. It's a huge problem in Austin.
In 2015, there was a change to the accessory dwelling unit land development code in the city of Austin, which we were a part of advocating for. And that ordinance change made it possible for us to build on smaller lots, and it also reduced the parking requirement in neighborhoods that are close to public transportation to be able to really maximize the placement and the amount of space that you're able to give over to that second unit.
From the very earliest time, Nicole was so receptive to our concerns and the things we wanted. And not only did she do such a great job with the architecture and helping us work through the whole application or process to be approved for the Alley Flat Initiative, she oversaw the work that the contractor was doing and even had to bring to their attention sometimes coding problems and things like that. So that was enormously helpful to us.
How we see ourselves operating in the future is to really be pulling together all of these different components of policy, research, design, and planning to make sure that the voices and leadership of the communities impacted are really present in making decisions about them.
Coming out of the financial crisis, I grew up at Citibank. What became clear to us was that the mortgage market was going to change significantly. And where it was very easy for people to get access to credit, it was going to become very difficult for a lot of Americans to get access to credit. So one of the things that we focused on was how do we provide access to capital to get people into good communities and good homes. And so we came up with this idea of lease purchase. So instead of just renting a house to somebody, let's underwrite that individual as if they're buying the house, use some of the same metrics, let them pick the house they want to live in. We'll buy it for them, lease it to them, and they can buy it later on.
My name is Tracy Jeter. I'm Vice President of Marketing at Home Partners of America. Every Friday morning here at Home Partners, we will get together as a company. Each different department gets an opportunity to speak in front of the entire company. Choice Lease is going to be a huge program for us as well. All of the regional account managers will be training agents on how Choice Lease can better their business and also help them help more residents that maybe don't have the income that they would to qualify.
Many families making $40,000, $50,000, even $60,000 a year, depending on the city, have a very difficult time getting access to affordable housing. We have decided as a firm we will allocate $25 million of equity capital. And then, we're very fortunate that Citi has agreed to provide a low-cost loan. And what we're going to do is we're going to provide lower-cost capital to moderate income consumers in the form of a rent subsidy or a reduced rent. And then what we're going to do is use the same model where we approve them, let them pick the house they want to live in. We'll buy it for them, lease it to them, and they can buy it later on.
I'm Jeff Polanzi. I am the Vice President of Acquisitions. When a future resident applies, all the way through the closing of the property and eventually the resale of the property, all falls under my responsibility.
The team that you see behind me have been successful in helping almost 14,000 families get on the path of home ownership.
One of the advantages to a resident with our program is if they find a great home, we buy it and lease it to them. And if house price appreciation is above what their purchase rate is each year, they can buy the house for the purchase rate.
I'm Ben Helwig. I'm one of the founders, along with Bill, of Home Partners. I really love coming to work here for 3 reasons. One, I think the business opportunity that we have is nearly limitless. Second, I really think that the proposition that we offer to consumers is giving them opportunity that they otherwise wouldn't have. Thirdly, I'm really proud of the team that we've got here at Home Partners, and I really enjoy coming to work with them every day.
And it's neat, we're helping people get access to great quality housing.
What you'll see out there is unbelievable natural light. This building that was a gift to Larry and me has beautiful windows that create a work environment that is inspirational for workers.
I think everyone that works here knows that they're doing something truly special and something that we're just the tip of the iceberg of what our capabilities ultimately are.
In 2014-15, as a developer, I was just looking at construction costs spiraling up. And so I sat down with Larry and said, I think we've got to do this with a different approach. I felt if we can build affordable housing at half the price of this spiraling number going up, we'll get twice as much out of it. And once we start doing that, it inspires people around us to help cut costs that are also affecting affordable housing.
So the best way for me to describe the factory to you is we're roughly 256,000 square feet. Our factory is made up of primarily 33 different workstations. So right here you see the floor of the actual module is being built. All right, James, how you doing, man? This gentleman here is making sure that we're sanding down any joints and ridges that we have in our plywood to make sure that our floors are absolutely smooth and have zero transitional issues. As you come down here to station number 4, you're going to notice that all these floors are prepped and ready for interior wall sets. This is where Matt fabricates the interior walls and then sets them on the modulars before sliding them from station 5 to 6. How are you today, Matt?
I'm doing good, Larry.
What are we?
Second to none.
You betcha, baby. So we are. This is station number 6. This is where both sidewall jigs are made. It's also where we go ahead and set the sidewalls on the boxes themselves. You'll notice that all it takes here is one gentleman using the crane and one gentleman walking along with the wall. And that's literally, it's a two-man crew to set the walls. So once that volume moves from 7 over here to 10, The top will get set, it'll then get set in the queue, and then the balance of all finished work gets accomplished as it moves down the line to station 33. In case you didn't know, I love this place. Don't film Rick without his hard hat. He's one of my worst offenders. All the volumes that leave Factory OS have a plywood sheathing over the top and then have an EPDM coating for weatherproofing to make sure that we get no water intrusion while in transit or while erecting on site. And then at the last station, we then ship them out. All right, cool, we done? Yeah, Rick, get Rick.
This unit is Unit 205 of the Union, our project at the corner of 5th and Magnolia, 1 block from the West Oakland BART station.
If you can imagine this, a 5-story building will go up in 10 working days.
In 6 months, you'll leave this unit at 8 a.m. and be in San Francisco at 8:15. So you'll be in a unit that you go, I got a meeting in San Francisco in 15 minutes. You can walk out your home, be on a train, and be in the city at that meeting in 15 minutes.
We began thinking about Landed while going to graduate school at Stanford University. Jonathan and I were business school students there, really curious about what the future of living in cities was going to be like, recognizing how expensive things have become. I come at this work, my mom was a 4th grade school teacher, dad social worker, and it wasn't until we were able to own our home did fortune change for my family, sent me to colleges I went to, etc. So I kind of lived the experience of what it means to feel grounded and rooted once you are able to have permanent housing. So when we looked at what Stanford University does for its staff to help retain its talent there, we realized they had an awesome program that's a shared equity down payment assistance. And we said, hey, everybody maybe could use this, especially our public educators and people who we need to stick around in our cities. So there's 2 parts to Landed. One part is a real estate brokerage that helps individual educators purchase homes, and we partner with real estate agents who actually help our educators buy a home. And then we have funds that we set up alongside outside nonprofit organizations that put money into these funds, and the money is available for down payment assistance. And so that down payment assistance goes into homes, and in the future the home buyer pays back what they got and shares in some of the change in value of the home, either up or down, depending on what happens by the time they sell or refinance their home.
My name is Carrie Callahan. We are in Burlingame, California, and I teach a 2-3 combo class. My husband and I have wanted to purchase a home for a long time. We have always said we're 2 years away, we're 2 years away, we're 2 years away, and we've said that for about 8 years. And I was born and raised here. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and we wanted to make our home here. And it was really hard to do because we were just realizing we were always just saving just enough, and then the housing prices would go up, and then you'd save just enough and the housing prices would go up again.
So one of the things we talk about at Landed is that there's really 2 parts to affordability. There is the month-to-month ability to afford your rent or your mortgage. So can I afford a roof over my head? And then there's another question of, can I access ownership? And that's the area that we really work in. So once somebody is in a place where they kind of have, even if it's a stretch, has their month-to-month cost of housing under control, we try to say, okay, you have the option to be an owner as well for more or less the same cost. And that means a lot for a lot of people. It's kind of, I like to think about it as democratizing who gets to be owners.
We wanted to stay where our family is, and our family is here. And you hear from people, oh, you know, move where it's more affordable, and you don't need to pay that much for a house. But that's really hard to do when your friends and family and what you've grown up with is here. And for us, owning a home meant we could stay here. And we were about a year away from moving about an hour and a half up to Petaluma, and Landed helped us not have to do that.
Teachers are some of the hardest working people in the world. They care a lot about their job, but oftentimes, if not all the time, they care about their job because they have this dual sense that each individual person is really, really special, but also as a whole, humanity is really special. And so it means that there's not a better group of people to start our work with than educators, who really are such a light for our society.